Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Mattel He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Core Collection, He-Man and Skeletor. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, since I no longer have the packaging for these figures, let us first take a look-see at their accessories, starting off with He-Man's giant-ass anime power sword. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It is freaking humongous, dude. I love it. It's got a little peg there, because He-Man here has a very nifty peg hole on his back that you can plug this into. I just gotta line it up here. Bear with me, folks. There we go. And it appears that good old Adam here is a lefty, because the way this sword sits, it doesn't sit the best the other way, so it sits this way, which leads me to believe that he draws it with his left hand. And of course, you can unpeg it from his back, and you can slide it into his hand here. And yeah, it is a big-ass anime sword, to say the very least. That said, it also has a very key-like shape to it, which will, let's just say, come in handy when the Castle Grayskull playset for this line comes out. Just set him there. Skeletor comes with his mighty Havoc staff, which is hollowed out from the back, which I'm not that big on. It looks like cheap crap that way, but it is what it is. It's a $10 figure. I guess I can't be too mad about it, but something to point out. And it's even hollow down here. Like, did you really have to hollow it out down there? I mean, this isn't all hollowed out. Granted, it's flat, but it feels a little heavier than this. That said, you do got the ram skull there. You can see that against my dark backdrop. My apologies. And not as Mickey Mouse looking as the vintage one, I'll say that. I like the shape of the horns for the most part. Would have been nice to get this all filled out, though. Hopefully the Masterverse one will do that. That said, he can hold it in his hand here, like a so. And he can also hold it in his skeleton hand, yeah, but I think it's more or less made for his right hand. So he's a righty. He-Man's a lefty. But actually, let's take Skeletor out of here and look at He-Man first. So, my initial thoughts on this series, it's actually pretty good. I would say it's one of the more well-written things to come out of Masters of the Universe. But I will say some of the designs are not 100% for me. The He-Man one being one of them. I don't particularly care for this look of He-Man, but it is also 2022. We have to appeal to a new audience. And since this is a show geared towards a younger generation of Masters fans, I will accept the changes. I don't have to like them, but I will accept them. That, and it should also be worth noting that he has... oh, I thought they were asymmetrical. Never mind, I thought his gauntlets were different sizes, like the vintage one, but they were flipped. Like this one was bigger than this one, but no, they are the same exact thing. But as far as articulation on these guys go, it doesn't have a whole lot. They got a single ball hinge in the head, or a ball joint, kind of move up and down a little bit. His arms will rotate all around. They got a little wiggle in there, but they don't move out. He's got a swivel at the wrist. Then his hips are on ball joints. Now I wish the arms were on ball joints. That would have given you a little bit more variety as far as posability goes. Maybe something at the knee, the elbow, but it is what it is. It's a $10 figure. And for the price point, I think you can't really go wrong here. That said, they do have headbanging action, which being a hardcore metalhead myself, I appreciate this. And then you can also have them power punch. Works both ways. Or he can uppercut too. Kind of like whack-a-mole. But, yeah, not crazy with the gimmick there. You don't get a ton of rotation out of that otherwise. It just kind of, it's spring-loaded. It's going to move on you, but that is the point. And I do believe they call it power attack, which is kind of funny because the Batman line from that 2004 animated series that was mostly on Kids WB, if I'm not mistaken. I think it later moved to Cartoon Network, but I could be wrong. That line was known as power attack, so very interesting. Maybe Mattel owns that name, power attack, but it would not surprise me though. That said, he of course has a peg hole on the back for the sword. He's got the harness. He's got the armored boots here. He's got some gauntlets. He's got a loincloth going on. It's more of a loincloth and not the fuzzy undies. He's got pants, which I'm not opposed to the pants on him. I think it goes with the outfit because he's got this sleeveless shirt thing going on too. But I kind of like my He-Man more half naked. If that doesn't sound weird, I don't know what will. But this is fine. For a new design, I think the costume works for this design of the character. Moving on from him, though, we have my favorite, at least that I have so far. I don't have a ton of these. Skeletor! Sorry, I screwed up my throat doing that. But I think that was a half-assed decent impression, if I do say so myself. We have Skeletor, the Lord of Destruction. He's got the same headbanging action. And it kind of makes more sense with him because he looks like a death metal guy. But he can headbang forward and back. He's got the power punch. And then he's got the uppercut action. But his articulation, it's the same as He-Man's, but his head does not move because of the hood. And I like the way the hood sits. I think that's really cool. And kind of reminds me of the Gravedigger mascot. The little Reaper guy there. His hood kind of sat similar. That said, his arms do rotate. He's got the wrist swivel. This side, it's a little bit higher because of the skeleton and yeah, which is a little bit gummy some places, so be careful with that. You don't want to tear that off, but it shouldn't be too bad. Get it? Too bad? Maybe not. He's got the ball joints in the hips, which are a little looser than He-Man's, but he can stand. Then he has rotation in the foot there, so you can actually get his legs a little bit closer together than He-Man's were. I will say there's some flex in these ball hinges here, so that's kind of interesting. You can have his feet a little bit closer together than He-Man's, so he will stand a little bit taller than He-Man. And I have to say, I do like that. I like the variety in height in this line. And I also just like the way this guy looks. He's got the ram skull that's wrapped around his chest here. He's got the cool-looking skull belt. He's got the Skeletor-looking tassel thingies, kind of, sort of. Not exactly, but close enough. He's got the spikes on his belt there. The only thing that, you know, puzzles me is he's got pants, but he's got bare feet. This is like the first time in this line where I'm like, okay, the pants don't work because you got bare feet. Like, put some shoes on, dude. You're going to freeze your toes off. Other than that, I really like this design for Skeletor. Still perplexed as to why he's got pants. But no shoes. But yeah, I like these figures, man. And I like this show. Being a super hardcore critic of cartoons that I am, and the fact that I, too, am not really big on the Ram Man Black Teal thing, it is 2022, and this series needs to appeal to the current generation of kids, and I think it does that in spades. In fact, I think it does a little bit better than other shows that are kind of trying to push a social agenda. That would be most things on the Cartoon Network and the Nickelodeon nowadays, and even the Disney Channel. This show doesn't feel like it's doing that. It feels like it's trying to tell a very, I'm not going to say complex, but interesting and engaging story with likable characters. And while I'm not crazy on the CGI animation style, it's just never been my thing, it does kind of remind me of Skylanders and stuff like that, so there is that. That's going to appeal to kids as well, because what kid doesn't like Skylanders other than the Buzzkills, right? And then it's just a really well done show, man. I don't know what else to say. Of all the new kids cartoons I've seen come out over the past, we'll say since Ben 10 Ultimate Alien ended, because that was, in my opinion, the last really good thing Cartoon Network put out. Not naming the Generator X because I think that ended before that. This is probably one of the best kids shows in the past 10 years. The only other ones that come to mind other than Ben 10 Ultimate Alien and Generator X are Symbionic Titan, which is a little bit more mature. Motor City, which was on Disney XD, I think. That was a little bit more mature. Nickelodeon really hasn't had anything for a long time. Yeah, just not a whole lot out there, guys. So, if you got kids, you want to expose them to Masters, and you're a little bit hesitant to show them something as, I don't want to say it's dark and gritty, but it's definitely darker than Filmation. The 2000X series, if you don't want to show them that, or if you think Filmation's just kind of dated for today's kids, which I think it depends on the kid. I think a lot of kids would probably like Filmation if they saw it. I mean, it was made to appeal to kids, so I would assume it could get the job done, right? I would definitely show them this show. I would not show them New Adventures because that show is an acid trip. So, with that being said, my probably unpopular opinions aside, I'm sure I've pissed a ton of you off, but at the end of the day, you're grown-ass adults and you need to get over it. So with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's our He-Man in the Masters of the Universe Core Collection He-Man next to the Motu Origins He-Man to see how this new version of He-Man stacks up to something a little bit more traditional. Next up, here's our He-Man in the Masters of the Universe Core Collection Skeletor next to his Motu Origins counterpart to give you guys a look at how he stacks up next to something more traditional. And last, but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, Loved Spawn as usual, towers over everyone. So with that being said, time to wrap things up, some final thoughts. Overall, and if you're a semi-open-minded individual such as myself, or if you're trying to get your kid into Masters of the Universe, I think this is 110% exceptional. I really like this series, and I really like these figures. I know they're not for everybody. Some of you Motu purists out there absolutely hate this, and you have your right to your opinion to dislike it, but you should at least respect it for exposing this generation of kids to a property you love. I don't see a problem with that. Granted, I'm not 100% on some of the decisions made. Again, I think the Black Tila thing and the Ram Man thing are kind of silly, I'm not gonna lie, but after watching the show, I've grown to accept it, I've grown to enjoy it, and this line is no different. These are not 2000X Motu figures. That's what I grew up on, but I also didn't expect them to be 2000X Motu figures. I expected them to be Motu figures for a current generation. If I'm being 100% honest here, they're built a hell of a lot better than the 2000X figures. You could bash these things around and not worry about breaking them, which I think is the whole point of not only making kids toys, but also kids cartoons. They should be healthy for kids to digest. They should teach them life lessons. They should be somewhat educational, but not on the boring side of education. They should be interesting. They shouldn't mock their intelligence. They should be engaging, intense, action-packed, filled with good storytelling, because I think a lot of kids could probably handle good storytelling if it's expressed to them in a digestible way, which I think this show is. So, with that being said, again, if you're a semi-open-minded individual such as myself, or if you're trying to get a kid into Masters, I think this is perfectly 110% healthy for everyone. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you're so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when people are so narrow-minded and unaccepting of perfectly good material such as this new Masters show. I'm stoked for that new season. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to it, man. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.